Today, we're cracking open one of the most powerful and, maybe one of the most misunderstood concepts from Napoleon Hill's classic, Think and Grow Rich. We're talking all about faith. And Hill says it's the second absolutely essential step toward getting rich.
So let's just dive right in with this quote. Hill, he's not subtle about this at all, is he? He puts faith right at the very beginning of the whole journey. He's not just saying it's, helpful. He's saying it is the absolute starting point. Without it, he claims, nothing else even gets off the ground. So how does this actually work? Well, to explain it, Hill uses this really cool and vivid metaphor. He wants you to picture faith as the head chemist of your mind, like it's running its own little internal laboratory up there.
Okay, so what does he actually mean by head chemist? Well, Hill's idea is that a thought on its own is just a simple impulse. But when you mix it with the chemical of faith, that's when the magic happens. It completely transforms. It becomes something your subconscious mind can actually grab onto and act on. And this, he says, is what connects you to what he calls infinite intelligence, which you can think of as a kind of universal source of creativity and big ideas.
Yeah, he even calls it the eternal elixir. He's saying it's that one secret ingredient that gives your ideas real life, real power, and actual momentum in the world. I mean, think about that. He says it's the only known antidote for failure. When you have that true belief, you're not just wishing for something anymore. You're energizing your thoughts, turning them from passive dreams into active, real-world pursuits.
Okay, but here's where it gets really, really interesting. Hill's big argument is that you don't have to be born with this unshakable faith. Nope. He claims it's a state of mind you can actually create on purpose, even if you're starting from a place of total doubt.
And the key to building this faith from scratch? It's a principle he calls auto-suggestion, or, self-suggestion. It's really just the act of repeatedly telling yourself what you want to believe. And Hill is super direct about this. He basically says you have to give your subconscious mind orders, instructions. And yeah, at first it might feel like you're kind of faking it or deceiving your own mind by acting as if you already have the thing you want. And he breaks it down into this clear four-step process. First, you start with a thought, an impulse. Then, and this is the important part, you use repetition, just saying it over and over. By doing that, you impress the idea onto your subconscious mind. And eventually, your subconscious just stops questioning it. It accepts the idea as reality, and then boom, it starts to act on it.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this is not just some mental game. Hill was convinced that once your mind is completely soaked in one dominating thought, your brain literally becomes a magnet. I mean, it starts pulling in the real-world stuff you need, the opportunities, the right people, the perfect circumstances that all harmonize with that core thought.
All right, so that's the theory. But how do you actually turn this into a practical, day-to-day exercise? Well, to make this whole process tangible, Hill created something called the self-confidence formula. It's basically a tool designed to systematically build your faith step by step. And he gives us these 5 super specific instructions. The whole idea is that you write them down, you sign your name to it, like a contract with yourself, and then you read the whole thing out loud, every single day. It's a really disciplined practice, and it's all designed to reprogram your subconscious, to take you from just wishful thinking to solid, concrete belief that leads to action.
But, and this is so important, Hill gives a critical warning. This law of autosuggestion, it doesn't care if your thoughts are good or bad. It's totally impartial. It will work just as powerfully with negative thoughts, fear, poverty, doubt, as it does with positive ones. Your mind is going to magnetize whatever you feed it the most. So how you set your sails of thought, as he puts it, is what determines exactly where you're going to end up. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds a little abstract, right? A little out there. Well, let's look at 2 incredible, real-world examples that Hill uses to show the raw power of faith in action. First up, he points to Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, think about it. Gandhi had no money, no home, and he definitely didn't have an army. By all conventional measures, he had no power. And yet, he wielded this incredible influence. So how did he do it? Hill says he created that power by taking his own unwavering faith for an independent India and transplanting it directly into the minds of 200 million people. That shared belief is what inspired them to move as one unstoppable, unified force. Okay, now for a massive financial example. Hill tells the story of the U.S. Steel Corporation. This absolute giant of industry didn't start in some fancy boardroom or a bank vault. Nope. It started as a single, really ambitious idea inside the mind of one man, Charles M. Schwab. So, the story goes, at this famous dinner,
Schwab lays out his idea to consolidate the entire steel industry to the most powerful financier of the day, J.P. Morgan. And he didn't just present a business plan. He spoke with such absolute faith, such intense conviction that Morgan was completely sold. He bought into a vision that other people were calling a delirious dream. And that one moment, that transfer of faith, turned Schwab's intangible idea into a real corporation and a personal profit for him of about $600 million. Just wow.
So, after looking at the formulas and these incredible stories, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What's the one core lesson Hill really wants us to get about success and failure?
Well, it really boils down to this one simple but incredibly powerful idea. Your external reality, whether that means riches or poverty, it all starts as an internal reality first. It's the direct result, the offspring of your most dominant thoughts. And those thoughts are energized by one of two things: faith or fear.
And that leads us to Hill's final, powerful argument. The only limitations, the only barriers that truly exist are the ones we ourselves acknowledge and accept in our own minds. And faith, he argues, is the tool. It's the key that gives us the power to just say no to those limitations and tear them right down. Which, of course, brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all, the one this whole concept is designed to make you ask yourself. When you look at your own goals, your own ambitions, what's the very first limitation that you're ready to challenge starting right now?